Welcome to qnawire.
All right, so this problem, we are going to use the multinomial formula, which reads p of x equals n factorial over x sub 1 factorial times x sub 2 factorial times x sub 3 factorial. And depending on the number of events, you would keep that going until you get to your final event, which we'll call x sub k factorial. And then we multiply that fraction by the probability of each of the events. So we'd have the probability of event 1 raised to the x1 power multiplied by the probability of event 2 raised to the x sub 2 power multiplied by the probability of event 3 multiplied by or raised to the power of x sub 3. And again, we would keep that going until we got to the final event, and the probability of the final event we'll call p sub k raised to the x sub k power. So in this particular problem, we know the value of n for part A to be 3, so we would have 3 factorial in the top, and x sub 1 is 1, so we'd have 1 factorial. X sub 2 is also 1, so we'd have another 1 factorial. X sub 3 is also 1, so we'd have another 1 factorial in the bottom. And then we have to multiply by the probability of each of those events raised to their corresponding powers. So p sub 1 is 0.5, we raise it to the x sub 1 power. P sub 2 is 0.3, and we'd raise it to the x sub 2 power. And p sub 3 is 0.2, and we would raise it to the x sub 3 power. And if you calculate that using your calculator, you will get a value of 0.18 for the probability. For part B, same formula, but in this instance, n is 5, so on the numerator, we'd have 5 factorial. We have 3 events. X sub 1 is 1, x sub 2 is 3, and x sub 3 is 1. And because there are 3 events, we also have 3 probabilities. P sub 1 is 0.7 raised to the x sub 1 power. P sub 2 is 0.2 raised to the x sub 2 power. And P sub 3 is 0.1 and raised to the x sub 3 power. And if you calculate that using your calculator, you do get a probability of 0.0112. And for part C, same formula. So p of x equals, and in this case, n was 7, so 7 factorial would be on the top. Again, we have 3 events. X1 or x sub 1 is 2, so we'll have 2 factorial. X sub 2 is 3, and x sub 3 is 2. And then the corresponding probabilities. P sub 1 is 0.4 raised to the x sub 1 power. P sub 2 is 0.5 raised to the x sub 2 power. And P sub 3 is 0.1 raised to the x sub 3 power. And if you calculate that using your calculator, you should get an answer of 0.042. So that is how we use the multinomial formula for probabilities.